On today's video, I'm going to discuss with you three very important economics related things. Number one thing is that you must have heard that India's GDP is growing at a very fast pace, that is 7.5%, but Western countries, for example Germany, UK, they are slipping into recession. So why is that the case? Have you heard an explanation around it? So I'll give that. Number two thing, you must have heard that inflation in India is somewhat controlled. We are not struggling in terms of inflation. Prices are not escalating, that is what the official data tells us. But unfortunately, in countries like Germany, UK, inflation has become a very big problem. Now again, why is that the case? Now, third and finally, if the GDP is growing so fast, inflation problem is not there, then why are we still called a developing country? Why not developed country? And when will we actually be called a developed country? When will people have jobs, good salary levels, and all good things? So that is the precise piece of conversation I'm going to have with you now. The type of data analysis I will be doing on this video, it will help you learn a lot of economics, lot of finance. This is not a politics video, so please do not watch it from the political lens. So please absorb this commentary as a student of economics, not as a student of politics. So that is my humble request. With that, let us move on to the video. So in order to understand this macroeconomics, you need to know the basics of economics, which I will recap in 1 to 2 minutes. What is GDP? GDP in simple terms means the total value of goods and services that are produced within a boundary of a country. Now, if you are new to economics, you don't understand it. So let's walk through an example. So let's imagine that India will only manufacture cars, and in the year 2022, it manufactured 100 cars, and the price of every car was 1 lakh rupees. Then what is the total value of goods and services that were produced? It was 100 cars multiplied by 1 lakh rupee, which is equal to 1 crore as the GDP. So this is an easy way to imagining GDP. Now let's move on to second economic term, that is inflation. Inflation simply means that, let's say that last year apple price was 100 and now it is 120. Then what has been the annual inflation? It has been rupees 20. So it is the general increase in prices. What does fiscal deficit means? Fiscal deficit means that every government would be having certain income in the form of taxes, and by using those taxes they will collect it and then it will expense things out. So income minus expenses is what it means, fiscal deficit. So now, why is GDP and fiscal deficit interrelated? Well, you should be able to answer that question very easily because of the fact, let's see, if GDP has to go up, then how can it go up? Well, by running higher fiscal deficit. If the government is actually running year after year fiscal deficit, what does it simply means? It means that it is borrowing more money and it is propelling the GDP through borrowing. Why is it that Germany is in recession right now, but India is not in recession? So for this you need to understand a basic concept of baseline growth. What is baseline growth? Baseline growth means that, for example, my daughter, she is 3 years old. What will be her average height that she will gain every year? Maybe her average baseline height increase must be like 2-3 inches or something like that. But what will be my height growth every year? I am already like 33, so my height will not grow. In fact, it will shrink with age. So what is it that we are speaking about? We are talking about baseline growth of height. So something similar happens in case of economy, that there is a baseline growth that Western countries or developed countries might have. For example, Germany's baseline growth or baseline GDP growth comes out to be roughly 2 to 3%. So on the flip side, when it comes to emerging economies like India, in India's case the baseline growth would be somewhere between 4 to 7%. Now I will explain you the two reasons why the inflation in Germany and UK went very high. So the first reason was quoted that there was shrinkage of supply, that the supply was limited, demand was still active. So as a result the prices went up. Now what exactly is inflation? Again go back to the basic, that inflation is increase in prices. Now why do prices go up? Because the supply is less than the demand. What ended up happening there was transportation shops were closed, manufacturing stopped, so supply went down but demand did not go down. By that, same proportion, so as a result inflation increased. That second key reason, which was more specific, was the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now because of the Russia-Ukraine war, the supply of energy from Russia to Germany, Britain, all these Western European countries that depend on the Russian gas for their energy needs, that got disrupted, and this was the most specific reason why there was more inflation in the economy in the Western countries. Now we come to India. India is one of the countries where consumer spending is rising like anything, which is actually a very good data point that if people are consuming more, it actually indicates that there is a lot of appetite for growth in our economy. A lot of external companies, for example, Apple has started like stores in India. A lot of Western countries would want to invest in India. Now the question is, why are these foreign companies want to open stores in India? Why are they investing in India? The simple answer is actually they want to make money out of India. Yeah. Why? Because consumer spending is going up. They see benefit, therefore they are coming to India. So another good point about India is that despite the world inequality going very high, for example, consider Germany. And here you will see that Germany ranks 54th in the terms of income inequality, despite it being a very developed country. India on the flip side is around 66, of course. Our ranking is lower, but we are a developing country. As we progress from being a developing country to developed country, hopefully this income inequality can shrink, and this is one of the levers that will pull up our economy. So in summary, now I will simply leave up to you that India is a growing nation or not. There is a lot of potential in it. A lot of good things are happening in India. Politicians are doing amazing job. No doubt about it. So guys, this is the right time for you to invest in the clean companies of India and participate in the glorious journey of India heading towards $7 trillion by 2030. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do share such videos with your friends. It would allow this type of videos to reach out to more people.